Good day. And how is everybody doing on this amazing Friday, the 7th of June, where I'm kind of over the weather. And I don't mean that in like a negative, sarcastic sort of, I'm over it. I'm just over it. I'm literally now miraculously, suddenly seeing everything in a positive light. Um, I've been through a bit of a crazy few days of a dark night of the soul, which I will briefly mention in a minute. But actually today, the reason that I'm doing this video today is because I want to talk about the Great Awakening, which I'm sure by now most people have heard of. And I'm also sure that most people really have no idea what it is, right? It sounds like something that it sounds like something very vague and abstract and not real. Um, and that's because the Great Awakening is about us entering a realm or a time of things being kind of the opposite of how they've been up until now, because we've actually been living in a false reality. Although some people might say that we just entered a duality, a realm of duality, so that we could see opposites and have the ability to make choices via our experiences. Okay. So the Great Awakening is happening. It's real and it's bloody amazing. And I can't really emphasize enough how important it is for anyone who wishes to manifest or create a better life, one that's in alignment with all the things that we've always been searching for, such as love, truth, harmony, joy, peace, grace, everything that is of the organic, divine, God spark source. That's where we're heading. It's what's happening. Now, a lot of people are saying that we basically have been imprisoned by a bunch of, Draco reptilians, and I'll come to that in a minute. The fact we're not alone in the universe. And it's a bit like one big Coronation Street drama in the whole cosmos that we're a part of, and we're the stars of the show. And I'll come to that in a bit. Earth and, why is Earth so important? Why this is happening, and how it's happening. But yeah, so there's been a lot of talk about the fact that, we're escaping a false matrix, which we kind of are. But I think recently I've had like a little bit of a change in my perspective about this. And we know that currently we have a whole bunch of cycles, cosmic cycles that are all coming to an end at the same time. I don't know off the top of my head because I don't really sort of pay attention to details of the realm. But if you do want to know more about that, I'll put a link in the description below for my brother. He's not my brother, but he is my brother. Never met him, and I'm not trying to sell his book, but I am trying to share the information. And the book is called Our Cosmic Origin by Ishmael Perez. And he also has a YouTube channel called The Real Ishmael Perez. And Ishmael basically is amazing. He's like a galactic cosmic historian. And, there is a story which isn't what we've been told. We've been lied to, we've been made to feel that we're alone on a rock, spinning into space, and that it's all just dark and futile and the Earth's going to get cold. It's the opposite. it's the opposite. And, you know, that's what I'm trying to do in these series of videos, is just to try to share this information, which we all need to know. And yeah, so we're basically coming to an end of a whole bunch of cycles. And it's kind of something like, you know, they're all aligning. So many of these cycles of different cycles, like 5,000 years and 26,000 years. And then there's a few kind of million-year cycles of crazy things happening in the cosmos with the planets and our sun, which possibly has never actually happened before. And it would seem that it was all planned, you know, the good side and the dark side, the duality, the polarity that was allowed and given the opportunity to kind of play out on Earth at this time, getting ready so that we would all be prepared for the next cosmic leap, which is literally happening now. It's not going to, well, it kind of is going to happen in a millisecond because there is no real space and time, and it's all relative. But it's happening now, and it's been happening for a while. You know, people were expecting it in 2012. There are various theories about how, you know, something happened in 2012 and the timeline got kind of like delayed and stuff. And I'm starting to think, you know, that this process, this evolutionary transition or transformation or transmutation, transfiguration has been happening since then. In fact, possibly even since 1999, because I really believe that 1999 is a very significant date. And I believe that the Earth was freed from the controls of the dark overlords then. And it's just taken this long, which isn't that long really. It's 25 years at this point. And I do believe that 2024 and 2025, you know, and it's already started. It's kind of like the crescendo of the disclosure for the Great Awakening, right? To trigger the mass awakening of our consciousness, which is going to trigger the solar flare, and nothing can stop what is coming. And it's going to be it's going to be awesome. It's going to be amazing. So yeah, let's kind of get going. The Great Awakening. So it is connected to the sun, our sun, which is in turn connected to the, you know, our galactic sun, which is in turn connected to the great central sun. So we have multiple universes, harmonic universes, that within them have other universes. And in fact, each of us is a universe. Get your head around that one. You are a universe. I mean, think about all the cells, think about your organs, think about, you know, the amazingness of the human being, even though powers that were, who were operating on the side of the dark side of duality, you know, to test us and to see how much we truly wanted to return back to source, to our father, creator, mother, source energy, how much we wanted it and how much we were prepared to overcome and learn, and how much we were prepared to kind of transfigure and transmute within ourselves. And each of us made a pact. We chose the experiences that we were going to have, and we chose the people that we were going to have them with. Everything, you know, from a random encounter with a shopkeeper to the very parents, families, and friends that we're close to, and all the dramas and all the kind of catastrophes and what you perceive to be the negative events were all created by you on the other side of the veil before you arrived in your vessel. to test you and to make you grow. And I say this as somebody who was an SRA victim or player and victim and someone who's overcome that. And literally, before I get into the meat of the what it means, this great awakening, I would like to just share quickly that, as I said at the beginning just now, I have been through literally a 3-day, again, another dark night of the soul where I've had to really cry and from my gut and my heart. And yeah, I had a memory which I suspected, but it was kind of just lingering around the periphery of my third eye or my consciousness or my imagination, whatever you want to call it. And it was a memory of being buried or being put in a coffin, makeshift coffin type box when I was below the age of 4. I suspect around about 2. I have no real idea who did it, but I do know that for some reason I was I say involved in, because I don't want to say victim of, some crazy things with different groups of people. So whether I was kind of targeted and black magicked and trauma-based, mind controlled, or I was kind of hired out, I don't know. It doesn't matter. But this coffin thing has been such an issue psychologically, metaphorically, and spiritually, emotionally, mentally, my whole life. And the idea of being in a dark, confined space where nobody can hear you or see you has been with me my whole life. And in fact, on the cover of the back cover of my book, just bear with me, it does say at the very bottom line, dedicated to all the unseen and unheard children. And I was doing a kind of a hypnotherapy session with Gordon Smith Duran from Peaceful Rebellion, who is a qualified hypnotherapist, I don't know, healer, whatever, healing facilitator. And that came up again, this thing, what was my greatest fear was not being seen and heard. And I kind of did a lot of contemplation, and it just really, it's all so simple. This healing malarkey, we make it very difficult. We think it's very complicated. Excuse me. Throat chakra, to do with communication. But when I actually thought about it, the psychological effect of something like that, which went on for at least several hours, would indeed make you feel throughout your life that you were invisible and that you couldn't be seen or heard. Now, it's tempting to think that, oh, I just responded to external situations in that way. But actually, it was because I was vibrating at that frequency because of what happened. And then I created the reality to make that true. I know it sounds crazy, but look, I've been through it and I've raged and raged and raged. And I've said, no, I didn't create that. But I chose it. I chose to go through these things because, we're about to discover in the Great Awakening a lot of very uncomfortable, disturbing, and dark truths. And it's very tempting to kind of rail and rant and be angry and blame and, oh my God, how could they do that? But the thing is that these dark actors who chose to come in and take on the uber ultra villain role did so. And because humanity collectively was going into a place itself that was very dark, like we manifested that collectively. And I want to come back to this collective manifestation and how we are responsible for the children and the trafficking. We are. We have allowed it to happen. And so, it's no good sitting there and saying, oh, I can't hear about the children. Oh, I'm in my good bubble and, everything's great and I want to ascend. And that's going to bring down my vibe because we've all been complicit. If you've ever bought anything from a high street shop, if you have a diamond, if you eat the shit from the shops, anything that if you've participated in the matrix reality, then you are complicit. And the only way out is through. And it's absolutely, we have to transmute that darkness and we have to find the light within us and overcome that. That's the whole point of why we're here. It's a lesson. It is for our spiritual growth. And only the biggest badass bosses chose to come here and have this experience. And that's every single person on this planet. There is no one that is lesser. Nobody is weaker. Nobody's to blame. There is no right and wrong. There's only frequency, energy and vibration. Nicola. Oh God. So for those of you who don't realize, every time I mention the name Nikola Tesla, I get all butterflies and stuff. So it's the crew. It's the crew. It's not just him. It's Saint Germain and all the rest, but I digress. Yeah, we are here to collectively transmute and to collectively ascend, right? But again, the ascension, the great awakening, the ascension isn't something like your body's not going to literally fly up into space and off you go. The ascension is within. The ascension it's to do with the Christic oil, it's to do with our biochemistry in the vessel, our vessel being how we traverse the cosmos or the creation of the all. Because nothing's solid, in Star Trek and everything, it's about, when you beam up, it's about de-atomizing and then reatomizing somewhere else. And this is real. It's real. It's totally real. Time and space are not real. Everything's happening anyway, you know what? I'm gonna pause that thought because I'll lose some people maybe. But yeah, so there's no point us ranting and railing and getting upset and angry and blaming other people when we're all responsible, okay? Unless, of course, you've been pioneering and trying to, sorry, my hair, I know it's crazy. I just caught a glimpse. My hair today, I feel like I've woken up with somebody else's hair. It's like 3 times thicker than it normally is. It was like this. Like, where's all this hair come from? Which also brings me on to, which I'm going to write this down. When we sleep and we come back every morning, you're a different person. We reatomize within the vessel differently every day. But anyway, let me just pause. There's so much information. But this is about God. And it's about how God is now going to be manifesting in everything on this realm. And God is light. And God is, all the positive things that you wish for. And the only thing that's separating you from what people are calling the new earth or, the ascension or the great awakening is you and your frequency and where you're at and how capable you are of dreaming, using your pineal. Your pineal is the seat of your imagination. And the way that we create our reality is through the imagination. Okay. Now, let me just pause there again because I just want to make sure that I'm organizing the information that I'm giving so that it makes sense to people. But creating our own reality and how we create negative through our self-talk and what we imagine. And how actually it seems weirdly to be so much easier to be negative than to be positive. But I guess that's because metaphorically, if you think about gravity holding us down, it's as if, the electromagnetic elements of the realm of Earth have been sort of either flipped or exaggerated, so that there is this kind of feeling and theme of being kept down in frequency. As children, I don't know about you, but I always couldn't understand why I couldn't fly. And, you jump and then you come down again. And we're watching all these, Superman and Captain America and the Avengers, and they're all flying around. And I used to come out of the cinema literally as a grown up with my kids and be like, I'm gonna fly. I just have that feeling. Like, I remember we can fly. And it's because we are everywhere at once. And the only difference, the only limiting factor is our imagination and our faith and our belief in what's possible. And all things are possible. And there is no kind of objective reality. There's all realities existing at the same time. And it's up to us to align with the reality that we want. Now, I know it's so easy to just say, what a load of BS. That's not true. Or if you do have an inkling of a kind of a feeling that it is true, I can't do that, or it's not for me, or, whatever. But let me just say that, I was kind of half awake when the March 2020 came around. And that's because of my experiences as a child and always kind of feeling like things are just not right, always feeling like an outsider, like I was invisible, like people didn't like me because I triggered people. And I now know that that is kind of true, but I chose that. I chose to um, have that experience because either I did something really awful in my last life, or I've decided I want to be a universe god. I want to be a god of a universe. And so therefore I needed extra training. Who knows? It doesn't matter. Again, it's what we decide it is, right? And that's another thing. It's about you. It's not about me. It's not about the truthers who are got all their little followers that they're stringing along, selling all their stuff. Sorry, I can't help it, be a little bit of a bitch. But, some people need a little bit of a slap. But I'm naming no names. You know, it's their choice, it's their journey, and also it's up to the people who are following these people to learn through their experiences how to be sovereign. And, in a way, I guess these dark actors who are the darkest, because who would string along people at this time and try to distract them and, make them, who would just try and make them go the wrong way? I mean, I don't know, but I guess that all the people following certain people had a soul group agreement that, well, I'm going to be really evil at that time, and you're going to follow me, and that's what's going to wake you up, okay? And quite often, this great awakening process is painful. It is painful. It has to be. It's the butterfly in the cocoon. I mean, crikey, look at what the caterpillar goes through to become the butterfly, all right? Turns to mush. I can't imagine that feels very pleasant. But there are things we can do to sort of mitigate that. But the first thing that we have to cultivate to survive is faith, all right? And faith in a kind of a God figure. Faith that there is a benevolent mother, father, source, creative energy that we all have access to, and which is literally pressing up against us, and it's in us. It's everywhere, and it's accessing that faith and being able to be open to the possibility that things are about to go stellar. They truly are. This is real and it's happening. And because of the way that we've been controlled, and because of all the negativity that we've been fed, and the way that this realm has been operating in a very low frequency, it seems just completely incredulous and absolutely ridiculous and fanciful and silly and oh no, that's not happening and that could never happen. You're crazy. You're one of them conspiracy theorists, aren't you? Yeah, follow logo, get out of here. And what was my response to those people? That was me. Yeah. And a lot of people have done that. And but the thing is, it's time to be graceful. It's time to be like God. We are baby gods. We're baby gods. And I know all the Christians and people, and Jesus is the savior. What are you on about? And Jesus has been our savior. Jesus is part of Jesus, Yeshua, Sananda is absolutely part of the crew. But you see, this process that we're in, it's not like, people think we're going to have a soul. Well, we are going to have a kind of a solar flash. I'll get onto that in a minute. But again, everything's happening in the same now space moment. So don't worry if you don't understand what I mean by that, because as you contemplate it, you kind of get glimpses of what it means. But there is no time, there is no space. And I know people get freaked out. It seems really bizarre, but it's amazing. It's the good news, in the Bible. And look, I'm not a religious person. Like many, many people recently, I've only recently come to Jesus or come to God. And that's what this whole 2020 vision, the EBS started in March 2020, or even maybe 2012 or 1999. It doesn't matter. Some people woke up 20 years ago, 30 years ago. So for them, the EBS started there. It is an emergency broadcast system that's feeding us to wake us up, right? Now, yeah, I'd love to have, I am going to come back to Jesus and my father's many mansions and the now time, space. I know, and I've lost the other thought now. Oh, it doesn't matter. Anyway, yeah, it's a long one, this, so, and I probably am going to digress and lose myself a bit because it's such new, crazy information. And there's a lot. There's a lot. Maybe I lose myself to make me pause so people can keep up. I was talking about baby gods. I was saying how Jesus came. Yeah, I was talking about how different people wake up at different times, and it has to be that way because there is so much information and there is so much that we have to integrate and we have to realize, and it's a process, okay, that kind of takes time. And we are, like I said, we're baby gods. And so Jesus, Yeshua Sananda, came to show us who we are. The fact that the dark side of the polarity that we needed to ascend and to realize what was happening, the fact that they tampered with the Bible, right? They left out, because there are 777 books in the Bible. I had that tattoo a week before lockdown, and that one, and that one, and a couple others, which kind of told me, oh, I've marked myself. My subconscious has marked me to pay attention to the 777, seven being God's perfect number. And so Yeshua Sananda appeared, and the Bible was messed around with. There were 777 books, and they took away 711 and left us with, see how good your maths is, 66. All right. And then we've got Buddha, and we had, now, I'm not so sure about Prophet Muhammad. I know Jesus is mentioned in the Quran, I do believe that the Quran itself, the original Quran, is a book of science. And there's a lot of information. But the problem with Islam right now is that the majority of the fundamentalist, possessed Muslims or Islamists, whatever they are, the fundamental crazy ones, they're following a book called the Hadith, right? That's the book that says keep away from dogs, and actually we shouldn't eat pork. I'm sure that will show up in another one someday. Um, but you know that women are supposed to cover up and blah blah blah. I mean, originally Muhammad said it's a choice if you don't want men to kind of cover up, but it's not something that you're supposed to do. But I don't want to get distracted by that. So we've had all these different prophets. You know, people might even say Julian Assange, and then we've got Saint Germain, and just and all these beings of light came in to remind us, hey, remember, this is what it's about. It's about know thyself and being um being discerning and not being greedy and not killing your neighbor and stuff like that. There are certain kind of guidelines, but it's all to do with your frequency. It's about us maintaining an elevated frequency, because our frequency is what determines the projection in the realm around us, right? Your frequency determines your reality. But what's happening at the moment is that we're all in a collective reality. So as much as you might want to, sit in a cave and meditate, and you can do that, and you will experience bliss and you will experience peace if you do that. But for many of us at this time, we're here to just love bomb the collective and faith bomb the collective, and to remind the collective who we really are. And we're all from different, who we really are. And we're all different, where we're from, where we are, and where we're headed. All right. And it's different for everybody. The cosmos is infinite. There are light beings all around us in the unseen. They're right here they're in your room. They're in your room right now. That's why sometimes people see ghosts. The ghost hasn't traveled to come to see you, or isn't just hanging around in that house. That spirit or entity, energy, frequency, feeling, it's always in the same space, all right? It's just that we are in a lower vibrating frequency, which is why we appear to be solid and we're unable to fly, because our frequency has fallen so low by design so that we could wake up and bounce back even greater than before. Our frequency it was in the 3D realm, was so low that everything appeared to be slow down and dense. And that was how, the dark side was able to trap us and to, I mean, if if it hadn't been slowed down, we would never have really learned anything. And also the only way you would be able to kind of intercept free will would be to slow things down and to create a time matrix so that we weren't not able to just escape. Oh, really? You're going to do something bad and just get out of there, right? We had to be somehow trapped. We set this trap for ourselves. It's like, you know, the veil and the forgetting. We knew the only way that we were going to do this, the only way we were going to go through this process of transmuting and transfiguring the polarities, and to create the singularity and to ascend, was if we didn't remember. And we had to work for it. Otherwise, what would be the point? It would be like getting an A level because the teacher said, it's okay, you don't need to come and sit the exam. I'll just give you an A. Like, I'd be like, no, I want to sit the exam. I want to test myself. Like, it's not right if you don't sit the exam. I mean, and here, that's kind of a good example of you know, the different types of people, those who will cheat and lie and walk over others and treat people like shit, and the ones who've always been good and kind and noble and honorable. And in this duality, of course, because we're going to the ascension and we're trying to come out of the negative polarity into the positive. And I also want to mention about the negative alien agenda. It had to be this way. Otherwise, everybody would just be the same and it would be boring. And, you know, I know that all the stuff with the children is horrific. Hello, I've been there. I've seen it. I've seen children being tortured and murdered in front of me to traumatize me. And so if I can be at this point, anyone can. It's a question of choice. It's a question of what you want, what you desire, where you want to be. It's amazing where we're at right now. It truly is unbelievably amazing. And the only payment is that you find time to sit and settle yourself and write down and work out what you want in your life. And if you don't know what you want, begin with what you don't want and start getting rid of the things in your life that you don't want. And don't be afraid. We don't die. We don't even need food. It's all an illusion. You know, they trapped us with money. I mean, look how many people took the shot because they wanted to keep their job. Because, I mean, well, what the hell? Do they expect me to lose my job? Can't lose my job. I've got a family to feed. Well, if you don't enter the space of surrender and letting go and just sitting there and waiting to see what shows up, you'll never know. You know, everybody's just living their lives like afraid to let go because, well, you know, and it is this, you know, it appears to be this dog eat dog world. And, you know, the amount of building, illegal building that's going on right now, all these people, we're in the wild, wild west. It's lawless out there. People are doing whatever they want and they don't care. But the thing is, you know, we have to care. We have to support each other at this time. And then once we're through this and you're off, baby gods, creating your own planets and universes with all the information of what not to do and what to do, it's going to be amazing, right? But we have to learn the lessons. We've all made mistakes. We've all invited the negativity. We've consented to it by not paying attention, going against our guts over and over and over. And if you've ever not listened to that little voice, which we all do every single day, then that's your lesson. Your lesson is to listen to your higher self. It's to be able to work out that voice, to not be afraid to be different, to strike your own path, right? And of course, we're going to meet resistance because we're being tested. All right. And ultimately, we're being, you know, the A++ are those who, in the face of absolute evil and people yelling and screaming and spitting at you, it's to turn around and gracefully bow and say, I love you. Thank you for showing me how I don't want to be. I mean, I'm not being sarcastic, but, you know, that is a way to look at it. And all the crazy and the chaos is there. And, you know, the bad behavior is there to show you how to be and how not to be. And if we didn't have the crazy, we'd never know. We have to see the darkness, but it's all an illusion. Okay? I don't know if that's making sense. I'm just going to pause again. I have got a few little things that I just want to focus on. So yeah, we are absolutely in a spiritual internal battle. All right, the spiritual battle's not out there. The beings, the narratives, the celebrities, you know, Mr. T, the 45th president and the last president in the 45. Remember, he said he would be back in another form or in some form. He said something about it. He's coming back differently, and we know that that's happening. We know that he's coming back. We know that Trump is, you know, part of the narrative to wake us up. They all are. Everything is, all right? But it's about you. Sorry, I'm so sorry. My hair is really annoying me. And it's like distracting. And I'm gonna next time switch the thing off so I can't see, because I keep doing that and it just looks a bit, never mind. Yeah, so it's about you, and it's about you know, not comparing and not contrasting with others and not following other people. And if you are following people, and at any point for a split second ever, you have a feeling of discomfort or irritation or agitation, pay attention. It's actually your soul saying, what about me? What about me? I've got all the information that you need for you. I have all the blueprints and all the codes, all the love, all the bliss, all the peace. I'm the one that can bring the dream lover of your life. I'm the one that can bring you your mansion and your freedom and your peace and your bliss. And I'm the one that can allow you to fly, you know, as far as you can imagine, not that truther or that channel. Of course, you know, people are giving information that's valuable, and we are here to guide each other and support each other because we are each other, right? Remember, God, this is God, all right? And then God separated and said, oh, hi, who are you? Oh, I'm God, I'm God. Okay, well, let's do that again. Let's separate again. Oh, hello, hello, hello. And so it's gone down, and that's how massively infinite God is. But God's everywhere. God's in every single, you know, division of the cell. And actually the division of the cell is a perfect way to explain what's happening with the earth at the moment. All right, earth is separating into two, right? And people are talking about the new earth and the bifurcation or the separation, right? But it's and the reason this is happening is because the duality, actually, hold on, let me think about this, because I'm getting a different message now. I was going to say, you know, the higher frequency, there's going to be a higher frequency and a low frequency. People are talking about how, you know, the higher density souls are going to go to the new earth where there's no duality. I don't know. It's kind of starting to feel a bit strange to me, that concept. And then we're supposed to have a low frequency earth for those that haven't learned the lesson this time around, to go and learn their lessons. But maybe then because there's also the singularity, you know, we're trying to, but I guess, all right, so the singularity would be within us to make the choice of where we want to go. And there are multiple worlds, right? We've got parallel universes and all sorts, but some people say the parallel universes were created so that we could time travel. And that was kind of the only way that we could get out of the illusion. But anyway, that's going a little bit off topic and a little bit too deep. And it's the sort of thing I'd have to have another person who, with talking with me, and that we could discuss it, right? There are certain themes and concepts and stuff that we are still yet to come across, that we will be talking about and co-creating. But yeah, right now it's about you. It's about you, and nobody can tell you ever that you're right or wrong, that anything you say or do is wrong, because it's what you chose to learn the lesson, and also to teach others. You know, some of us chose to come here and to be nasty and evil to show other people how not to be, and that's such a sacrifice, right? And we've all done it. We've all been reincarnating. We've all played all parts. So, you know, I look at my daughter Imogen, who's also a Sirius B starseed. And again, Sirius B, people talk about, you know, Sirius B and, you know, other planets and, you know, where you from? Oh, I'm an Arcturian. You know, again, it's like Coronation Street. It's like, you know, I'm English, I'm French, I'm German. It's all just different parts of the same whole. You know, but and going back to the reincarnation, you know, my daughter Imogen and I, we've been each other's mother, father, lover, child, cousin, aunt, uncle, and we've done things to each other over and over again. And this is the lifetime now that we've come to put all of that to rest. All right. So it's the same with my mother. You know, I know that my mother was a first waver. I mean, she was born in 1940, so a very, very first waver. Extremely challenging. She had such an awful, awful life. And, you know, in my star astrology chart, the only thing I'm supposed to address in this lifetime and balance is the relationship with my mother, which is why, despite how it might appear on the surface that she might not have been the best mother, but again, define a good mother. I mean, look at how people behave today as mothers with the phones propped up and it's all giving in to the children. That's not being a good mother at all. It really isn't. We all need discipline. We all have to exercise willpower to stay on track. And unfortunately, what's been happening lately and the fall in the children, and the reason where this whole transgender thing's happening is because the parents aren't paying attention. The children are lost. They know something's happening, and they know that ultimately, once you have kind of reached the point of singularity within, you know, we are androgynous. It is there, you know, there is no opposite, male and female. And so the dark side is playing on that so that we will learn a lesson. We can learn what it is to be a good parent. Okay, kind of digressing a bit. So yeah, Imogen has been my everything, and we're here to kind of connect as souls, all right, at this time. So yeah, it's about you. It's not about Trump. It's not about Q. It's not about the alliance, although this is the positive aspect of the duality, which is now coming out to allow us, you know, to have something to hold on to in order to make the choices to return home. Okay. And I really believe the vast majority are returning home. As I said at the beginning, we're in this cycle. We're in this, it's this many, many alignments all at the same time. And now is the time. And I believe that the vast majority are either just going to ascend, we're going to stay in our physical bodies. Well, they won't be physical, they're becoming less physical. But what I mean is, we're not going to have a traumatic death event. There's no more reincarnation. There's no more recycling, because that trap is now over. It's over. We are free now. We are free. It's just our mind that's keeping us imprisoned. Okay, it's like all the movies have told us this. It's like V for Vendetta, The Matrix, which I started watching again yesterday, a couple of days ago. I was like, oh, I was in such a dark space. I couldn't read, I couldn't meditate, I couldn't do anything. And I was like, oh, I'm going to watch The Matrix again, but it'll be a bit boring because I've already seen it 4 or 5 times. And not too long ago, I saw it. But oh my God, it was like I'd never seen it before. I vaguely know the storyline, but it was like I was aware that I wouldn't be able to tell you the story. If somebody had said, oh, what's The Matrix about? I'd be like, oh yeah, it's about The Matrix and it's about this guy Neo, and he's the one, and he goes through all these things. He's like, and he gets freed out of the Matrix by taking a pill. And but I couldn't remember each of the different things that happened. And the thing about the Matrix, it's literally, it's so true. And it's like there's not one sentence, action, or scene that isn't full of a revelation or information that we need to know. And yeah, The Matrix, it's pretty cool. Sorry, lost myself again, answer. My brain, the Matrix, the Matrix. I was saying it's about us, and it's about, creating our reality and the singularity. But anyway, whatever. It's about you, and it's about your frequency, which is why Q says be careful who you follow, because there are traps, oh, that's what I was saying. It's about the mind, everything. It's all in your mind. It's not external. You're not being trapped externally. You're trapped in here. You're trapped in your heart. You're trapped in your pineal. You're trapped in your solar plexus. Your chakras have not been turned on. You've maybe not given any thought, attention, respect to the concept of God, or the concept of you as a divine child of God, with every single right and possibility you can imagine. All right. It's a free will universe, or quadrant of the universe, which means, anything is possible. Just do no harm. And obviously, for the past however long, we've been trapped in a universe or a reality that has gone against free will. All right. So again, that's to show us what happens when you do. So that when you go off and create your universes and your planets and your realms, however it looks for you, you're going to remember, oh, right, okay, I must remember, on a free will, do no harm, because otherwise that's what happens. All right. It's a simulation. It's a hologram. It's been made to feel more real and painful and awful so that we don't fucking forget. Get it? Right, okay. I'm taking my hair down again because I hate it being tied up and whatever. Right, okay. And also it's our spiritual antenna. So it's supposed to be everywhere picking up. I mean, it's got copper and stuff in it, right? I know it's a mess, but our hair is our spiritual antenna. That's why you've got all these bloody what are they called? All these barber shops at the moment, and they're all Muslims, aren't they? And I'm sorry, look, I lived in Asia for 22 years in a Muslim country. I love Muslim people. They are the best. I prefer a good Muslim to a good Christian. I don't really. That's not true. But it's not what we think. It's the hadiths, it's the fundamentalists, it's the duality that we're observing and that we're kind of moving away from. Okay. And they're all self-imploding. I mean, everybody's talking about this two earths, right? And how the baddies are going to go to the whatever. And I don't know. I think something else is going on, but that's something which is formulating within my being. And I'm going to have a chat with Harry, friend of mine, a recent friend, young whippersnapper Harry, who is awake and spot on and definitely here to show the way. And I'm so grateful, not just to him, to loads of people who I'm going to be having chats with and bringing on. And I am going to open up the live stream on this soon when there's enough people that have a genuine interest. Okay. I'm here to serve, service to others is my thing. And that's what makes me happy. And, I'm not here to make money. I'm about to go out after, and I'm going to sell copies of my book on the street. I'm going to make up a sob story about how the government won't give me any benefits because I was away for 22 years, because then that opens people up to the fact that the migrants get everything and they're not even from here. And how I can't teach because I refuse to call him, her, and her, him, and they legion demonic bullshit. And so I have no choice but to sell my own book, right? And that's how it's supposed to be anyway. So free will, discernment, gut. It's all about you. It's about our frequency. The Great Awakening is real. And we're all at different levels because it has to be that way, because no soul can occupy the same space as another soul unless it's a twin flame. But we'll do more about that later. Nikola Tesla and I will present on that. Oh dear. All right. So right now, we're in this collective manifestation, and we are collectively creating this reality, which is why everything looks so chaotic, because you've got those that are waking up to their true power and potential are starting to fly, and the frequencies that we're emitting and the frequencies that we are creating with are so powerful. And then in the opposite side, you can see the way that the dual negative alien agenda polarity is seeming to go so far into darkness and chaos and destruction. But again, this is what they've created. You know, if you're going to surround yourself with shit, then your life's going to be shit. If you behave shit, your life, it's going to get worse. You know, it's a downward spiral. But the minute you try and make an effort to connect with yourself and your God source and your God spark, and it's hard work because it's an ascension, it's a climb. It's easier to fall than it is to climb, because the joy, no, it's because, you know, you're going to be exiting a realm where it appears as though everything is around you and everything is kind of happening to you, and you're a passive victim and you're just floating around and you're just responding and reacting, and you're just, as opposed to taking the reins of your own life and, you know, forging ahead. Now, the thing is, it's only the first leap, it's only the first part that's hard. It's like, for example, when you choose to start exercising, or you decide to give up alcohol or drugs, or, you know, you decide to end a relationship. It's only the start that's difficult. And then once those new habits and frequencies and vibrations start to take hold, it becomes easier and easier. And then you end up in the flow and you take off. And that's what's been missing in this reality for all this time. But again, we chose all of this. And I know many people are not going to agree with me and are going to refuse to take responsibility for their own actions because it's easier to blame somebody else. Okay. And I've done that. Oh my God, I've done it. I've even done it now. You know, I've even done it in the past 4 years or whatever. But 3 days, the past 3 days, this dark night of realizing about the coffin, you know, I chose that, I guess, so that I could springboard into even greater heights. Okay. But that's just for me and for the realm I want to create. It's nothing to do with you. It's nothing to do with anybody else. It's my choice. It's my world. It's my reality. And you have the choice, the ability, and the privilege and the right to create your own reality. So get a huge piece of paper, start creating a vision board. In fact, I'm going to do that. I'm going to create a vision board and share it with you. All right. So it's about you. We're in the Great Awakening, and now it's the revelation. Okay. So we've been going through this process for God knows how long. God only knows actually how long. And we're now coming out. And we're coming out, we're like baby gods, and we're stumbling out like newborns into this open, clear canvas that's currently just empty. What are you going to fill it with? You know, you have a canvas, you can put whatever you want there. Don't fill it with other people's shit. You know, cut the ties to things that don't serve. And again, the only way that you're going to be able to do that is by going within. Know thyself. And it's painful, it's frightening, it's scary, but the only reason is because it's so different. It's just different from what we're used to. But clearly, who wouldn't want to be free to create their own reality? Who wants to be, you know, passive victim at the whim of, say, the British government, which is all governments? And wow, oh, it's all happening here, isn't it? With Nigel Farage, who I believe I've listened to a couple of people, you know, he's there for the light, he's there on the good side. You know, and the thing about what's happening in politics is the moment is there's not meant to be politics. We're not, it's over. It's over. The political system is over. There is going to be no more governments. There's going to be no more separation in countries and passports. There's going to be, I believe, 22 areas. I think I've explained this in another video. For example, the area which is, and this is a really bad map drawing, the area which is Southeast Asia, oh gosh, which is, we have Malaysia down here and Singapore at the tip. And then we've got Thailand. The most of this is Thailand. We've got Myanmar. Actually, Myanmar's a bit lower down because it's near Malaysia. There's actually a Stargate at Myanmar. That's why at the beginning of the lockdown, there was so much going on in Myanmar. And there was also a spirit cooking exhibition. So do you remember the leader of Myanmar, the man dressed as a woman, very peculiar looking, right? That Mrs. C, you know, the actor who is going to awaken us to how dark humanity got in terms of abusing the children. They were you know, there's a photograph of them together. But we've also got please, I have no idea where these places are, and I can't actually draw it. But in here we've got Vietnam, we've got Laos. I mean, you've heard of all these places: Myanmar, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia. So, you know, all these places were attacked because of this Stargate, all right? And Malaysia is a British colony. People think Malaysia got independence in 1956 or whatever, and there was a big hoo-ha, and it was called Merdeka, freedom, Merdeka Day. Yeah, we know, not English, but everybody speaks English. It's so English, American English. It's so westernized with that whole Five Eyes energy. And Malaysia was basically the English outpost of, you know, the trafficking. And it was the sort of headquarters of the Southeast Asian Kill Islands. It was also a connection to Australia and New Zealand, because Australia, New Zealand, and Southeast Asia were going to be the headquarters of what used to be in Europe. So the plan on the dark side, and because it's not happening, you have to wonder, was it ever really planned? But it was to kind of burn Europe and America and then relocate everything over on that side, because then you have, and of course, sorry, let me get to Antarctica, because you also have, remember, even though the higher ups of the negative alien agenda and the higher ups of, you know, who know what's happening on the planet and understand about the ascension and understand what we're in, even though they kind of knew this wouldn't happen, although I guess there would have been a possibility it could have done. It's the minions that haven't got the message. It's the minions who didn't get the memo. It's the minions who are, you know, pushing all the agendas and, you know, exposing themselves. All right. It's the wheat and the chaff, the sheep and the goats. It's time to choose, and free will. All right, no judgment. You can choose whatever you want. It's a constant, ongoing learning experience. But for me, I choose God, and I believe that Commander-in-Chief Donald J. Trump, we were told there was going to be a trumpet. Come on, it's so obvious. He is leading the white hat military operation on Earth to expose all corruption. Top guys are gone. We knew, you know, I was saying it 4 years ago. I knew when I kind of woke up, because I was talking about that. I'll get back. Let me finish this and I'll get back to a very short explanation of my awakening and how it worked out for me. And I'll talk about Trump and Q and the alliance and the galactics and all that, because it's very interesting. I've been wanting to share my story from the beginning, but I ended up contacting many dark actors who didn't want me to share my story, or it just wasn't time. Okay, people hadn't woken up. So Donald, oh my gosh, what was I just saying? This is why I like to write, because I can go back and fill in the bits I've forgotten. Let me have a drink of water and slow down. I do get very, high energy because it's all so exciting. Oh, and just a little quick note. I made this. Do you like it? A little granny square. Yeah, granny square jumper. It's very easy to make. I've got a few. It's what I've been doing with myself past year since I came back to the UK. Gosh, it's about 21 months now I've been back in England. Here for a reason, here to assist. Please reach out if you need. I'm going to start doing presentations soon. I think that the personal, you got to be in person. People got to feel your energy. And I've got to feel the other people's energy and get all high and up and give them that hope and that motivation to change and to choose the reality they truly want. Just remembering to honor free will. Right, so I was talking about creating a reality. I was talking about Trump and Q and Alliance. All right, because I've forgotten that thread and maybe I'm just so yeah, I'll just very quickly talk now about my journey. Please, I'll try and keep it down to 5 minutes or less. I've no idea how long I've been going. And then I want to give you an analogy to help you understand about your vessel, your body, and the upgrading of our technology, our organic technology, which is what the metaverse and the augmented reality and the transhumanism is trying to copy. Now, remember, there's no real kind of demonic energy here anymore. There is no Lucifer. There is no, that all of these demonics have gone because they cannot be around the light that is now shining on the earth. They cannot be in this realm. All that's left in the realm is the little minion vampires and fools. Although again, see, why am I judging? I'm grateful to the fools for showing me who I am or what I'm not. So all we have left are those who are choosing a lower frequency and they are exposing themselves. And it's about you in your realm ridding yourself of that which doesn't serve. It doesn't even mean that collectively all evil will go. It's hard to explain because we're still in this 3D. And I know it's really a bit of a head. I know. But it's true. It really is. It's about self-responsibility and it's about grace and it's about honoring everybody where they're at, okay? And allowing people to come to us or allowing people to wake up in their own time because each individual in their own realm is completely entitled and has the right to do as they wish, as long as you are honoring the free will of other creators, other sovereign kings and queens of their realms. Okay, this is where it's all gone a bit wrong. You want to do that shady shit, do it, but do it with other people who agree to do it, not people who are not agreeing. Although then again, we agreed to do that at this time for this huge, enormous lesson, for this great awakening that we're in. So, as I said earlier at the beginning, I kind of was already awake because of my experiences. Sorry, there's big clouds and it keeps getting light and dark. It's a bit crazy. I was already awake, but when they announced the lockdown in 2020, I was like, oh my God, what's going on? This isn't right. How can you lock the whole world down on the same day? And I think for anyone that felt that, and then started, and then I don't know, it was weird. It was like, on Twitter, there were people showing up, and I followed a guy called Billy Don I Am. It was all lowercase. He had hyphens and semicolons, and it was all, and I actually had a conversation with him. He was asking me whether Malaysia was a good place to go and settle. Because at that point, even though people were channeling the information about, the Great Awakening and who we were and how we had to activate our vessels and remember, There was also still an element of the negative duality and the human frailty and fear that was kicking in. And everybody was talking about, panicking about hoarding and, prepping. And I don't know, for some reason, I was like, oh my God, yeah, I need to prep. But I never did. I mean, I still only have a few packets of pasta. I've always got potatoes and eggs. And if there is 10 days of darkness, you know what? If there was 10 days of darkness and you had no food, you would survive. We don't need food, but that's a whole other subject. I think what I'll do is I'm going to do a separate video on the vessel and our sacred technology and how to activate it, because that's what it's all about. All right. Know thyself. All right. We can perform what we would call miracles, but they're not miracles. It's just how it was meant to be. And it's actually an unmiracle, the state we're in now, right? We've had our wings clipped. We've had a veil put over. And I tell you, the collective, cosmic collective on the other side, which is infinitely huge. Earth is a little speck. Earth is like a village. It's not, Earth is like a room in a house on the planet compared to the cosmos. If Earth was the cosmos, even smaller, it could be a speck of dust. It doesn't matter. You get the point. And so, yeah, there I was following this Billy Don guy, and he was saying, we are eternal beings of light in a meat suit. And I'm like, and I was following stuff. He was uncovering stuff about the giants, like about Tartaria, the truth of the realm and what happened, because what the dark agenda did was they just got a bit, it seems like they got a bit carried away in their desire to stop the Great Awakening. So remember, as the Great Awakening happens and as we all start to kind of ascend, meaning that we are becoming lighter in ourselves and we're starting to see clearer and we're starting to realize that we do co-create our reality and that our thoughts and our dreams are the actual fabric of reality. Ooh. And therefore, we have to be the gatekeeper in our mind. And so the number one step is to start to be observing of your thoughts, which we all know is really difficult. However, I do believe at the moment, with the increasing in the frequencies, it's just going to be a lot easier for people. All right. So as the collective raises, anyone who then plugs in is going to have a way easier time. Somebody like my mother, who was born in 1940, was an easy target. She really struggled, behaved, no, was possessed by negative frequencies to behave in ways which were quite traumatic. But again, for me, maybe I needed that trauma to wake up, because in a previous life, as I was saying before, Imogen and I, some of the things that apparently we did to each other, she even banished me. Apparently, I was her uncle, and she banished me to Australia because I was doing good stuff and she wasn't, And then she has a relationship with her father now where, yeah, it's very fascinating. But again, that's just background information to allow you to orient yourself so that you can kind of steady yourself and go, right, okay, who am I and what am I capable of? And what's my mission, right? We're here at this time. It's amazing. It's just the biggest game, the biggest show on earth. Don't get sucked in by the negativity, says me. All right. As someone who went through this ritualistic abuse my whole life. I mean, even now, it's still happening. But I choose not to buy into it. And I choose to believe and absolutely have faith that no, okay, well, if it's happening, I'm allowing it. And so what do I need to do to stop it? And quite often, these things are always to do with other people and relationships and things that happen. And so, if I behave badly or I say the wrong thing, I just have to apologize. I have to forgive. I have to forgive myself and move on. And yet we have so many problems with this, don't we? It's so easy to to cling on, and it snowballs and it grows. And then, the next thing you know, you're attracting and you're seeing in your realm, and then you're connecting to the collective darkness, which is huge, right? I mean, it's lessening as people are exiting the realm as they chose to do. Everyone who's dying from certain things at the moment, it's all part of the plan. All right. Death's an illusion. You just transition, the only thing that kind of is frightening to me, or that I kind of pay attention to, is pain and suffering. But again, we always get ourselves into these situations. It doesn't just happen to us, all right? Self-responsibility, self-accountability. This is what it's about now. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's going to be amazing. We have to just open our hearts, open our minds, and as painful and frightening as it is, and as vulnerable as we feel, stay open. And even when people attack you, stay open, because, the minute you react and the minute you attach yourself to what appears to be the external negativity, which is actually just a reflection of something in you, yeah, it's just keeping you trapped. We're only ever keeping ourselves trapped. And you can go and listen to Prince, and you can go and listen to God knows how many artists who have been telling us this for a long time. Yeah, honor free will, love yourself, honor yourself, and start to behave a little bit differently, reach out to people, and just constantly, constantly, constantly bring it back to you. All right. Do no harm. So yeah, so there I was, and I was kind of awake, and this Billy Don I Am guy it was like half of me wasn't believing it. Half of me was like, what? And the other half was like, oh my God, I remember there was something inside, or a part of me on the other side of the veil still connected that was kind of like, this makes sense. And then as I started to, and I've never been on the Q 4chan ever, but I was kind of following people who were talking about Q, and I had joined Telegram in December 2020. I ended up in a Telegram group, which again, there was good and bad. I had 700,000 US dollars of XRP taken from me that I had kind of created out of thin air to serve for humanitarian funds. But you know what? It's completely fine, because I then was forced into learning about how I create, and it's not about money, it's all about energy. So that was an interesting lesson, which was worth 700,000 US dollars of XRP. So thank you, 117. Thank you for behaving badly and teaching me not only that everything is within me, but how to overcome deep, dark evil. Thank you for that lesson. And then and then I started to hear about, and I was like, everybody's watching what was happening with Trump and the elections, and it was obviously all connected, and Q. And, there were people who knew what was going on. And, I believe that on both sides, people have been trained for years for the moment, for March 2020. And we had the good guys that were trying to spread the good information and teach people, know thyself, free will, and talking about, like the Great Awakening map. And you can look up, if you just type in on whichever search engine, the Great Awakening map, and have a look at that. I don't know all of it, but I reckon 50% of what's on there I understand, and the rest of it I don't need to, because it's not relevant for my realm, but it might be relevant for your realm. It's up to you. It's who you are. It's who you are as a soul, okay, as a child of God, a fully sovereign, fully powerful baby God. All right. We are the children of God. And Yeshua Sananda, aka Jesus, the Christed one, he's our brother. He really is. Sorry, I've got so much stuff coming out of my ears at the moment. I know that's really ugly and horrible to say, but these ascension symptoms, it's just so strange. It's like there's a lot going on. Yeah, so Billy Dawn. And then I was in these groups and we were having so many conversations. I mean, I was just being blocked by everybody because I wanted to talk about, tapping and balancing yourself and how I kind of knew it. It's like I sort of got activated to sort of talk and learn and share about how we ascend and how it's, we have to work on ourselves. But I just was blocked, banned, and deleted because it wasn't time. And also because I still didn't fully know it inside. And I was still um, able to be um, infiltrated and controlled, which is why the guy managed to take that money off me because it only took a year of him saying things I wanted to hear and me thinking, oh yeah, he's a galactic and oh I'm so lucky. The worshipping. I got into that situation because I was putting him and his information above me. I was looking forward to connecting with him. And it was all mind control. And I'm ashamed of a few things that I kind of happened because I was under this mind control. But then again, it was just all part of the plan. It was what I needed to learn about sex and sexuality and how sacred it is and how, the cervix is a portal, because that's where babies come out, right? That's where they enter the realm. It's a portal, which is why women are actually to be closer to God and protected. All right. It's not about being higher or lower, but the woman, the vessel, the womb, um, is the portal through which the baby comes, and the male energy, the electric masculine energy, is supposed to be around that, protecting God and the portal where God comes through. And yet that got changed around so that the men are first and the women, I mean, it's insane. How did we allow this? And how did we go on all these kind of like tourism visits and look at all these amazing buildings and, look at the beautiful clothes that the Victorians and whoever wore and think for a second that we had evolved? Right, 1 second, because I need to turn this heater off. Oh no, I need to turn it on. I need to pull out the plug. It's mind-boggling that we actually sat and listened to them talk about all these things, which, sorry, and I, yeah, so they had the capability of building those cathedrals back then. And now look at the absolute rubbish that's being built. I mean, it's everywhere in the UK at the moment. It's a freaking, like I said, it's the Wild West free for all. Everybody thinks that they're going to make a million making these. I mean, they're literally, you'd be better off in a tent than any of these houses, right? And then literally 6 months after they're finished, they're back in again to dig up the roads because this isn't working. I mean, it's crumbling, but that's just a sign that it's crumbling. Oh, I want to talk about the roadworks as well. Because it's the alliance, yeah, where it's incredible what's happening. So yeah, so there I was in all, I'm sorry if I digressed then and lost my track when I went off. But so there I was, and right from the beginning, I had a really strong sense that Trump was the commander in chief and was part of a plan to kind of reveal to humanity the truth of the realm and what was actually really happening so that we could make choices about the next steps and how we would go forward in our lives and what our lives would look like. This is all that it's about. And I was saying before, it is painful. The process is painful, but so was being born. It took 2 days for me to come out. I mean, my mother said it was horrific for her, but it would have been for me as well. And it was the same with my daughter. I ended up being hoodwinked and ended up taking having an epidural. She was purple when she came out, and they whisked her off, and it's traumatic. We forget that we already have been through a death when we're born, coming through the portal, but it's not supposed to be that way. It's supposed to be a divine, orgasmic experience for the woman, bringing God as a baby into this realm. Birthing pools, the love of your life, the co-creator of this new soul's vessel with you. I mean, look how much it's been, subverted, and how far away we've come from it. But we are now returning on the in-breath of God, of our mother, father, creator, back to um, back to home. And then on the out breath, we will expand out again to learn more about ourselves and the nature of what more amazing things that we can create and be. It's truly amazing. And just don't get hung up on fear around this idea that you are responsible for your realm. We're all immature, we're all babies. It's not difficult. We don't it You just have to be. You just have to be like a child, keep it simple. And go within. Mind your own business. We've got to mind our own business, mind our own realm. Yes, so then all the groups caused a lot of trauma. There's a lot of energies. Then there was the incident with the face mask for me in Malaysia, where I went viral for a couple of months. Karen Dior, KLCC, all over the media. Wanted criminal, terrorist. 10 police turned up at my house, all dressed in black. I thought I was going to die. But I still wasn't going to wear a mask, and I wasn't going to take a jab. I stayed in my house for a year because I couldn't go anywhere, because you had to you had to be vaccinated to go everywhere. And I was not. I just, I'm a maverick. I came in as a maverick. But what's happening for me right now is I'm now transitioning, and I'm transmuting from bullshit, crazy maverick, here to break the system, here to throw a spanner in the works, here to make people go, oh, who was that woman? Oh, did you hear what she just said? All my life, to somebody who is here to hold space in grace and to be as godlike as I can. My mission is to be, my dream is to be part of, the Galactic Signet Council 6, or the Office of the Christ, a Raspberry Beret member, a Sirius B guide, and if that's what I want, that's what I'm going to be. And nobody can tell me I'm not. That's how it works. But obviously, I can't go around beating people up and stealing from people and saying, yeah, I'm with the Office of the Christ, right? I have to be vulnerable. I have to be humble. I have to constantly work on myself, and I have to be real with myself, right? We make mistakes, but as long as we kind of own up to them and take steps to overcome them and not hang on to them, don't let mistakes bring you down. Again, that's about getting stuck in the 3D. Just like you would forgive others if they apologized, forgive yourself, okay? It's all good. It's all good. And so, yeah, and then I took a trip to Mexico. That was pretty horrific. I went there for a month to visit a friend, but it was just awful. I guess I was anchoring light there, or I don't know, paying some kind of karma. Maybe I was a murderous, sacrificial priest, and I had to go back, and I felt like I was being murdered for the 4 weeks that I was there. I was very sick. Didn't leave the Airbnb. I was smoking. Well, I just recently stopped smoking marijuana and drinking. And I'm not judging myself for it. I believe that both served a purpose. But all I could do was just sit and smoke, and I was in so much pain, and I felt like I was literally being flayed alive for 3 nights. And I had a friend there, and she couldn't barely seem to stand being in the room with me, or even help and look after me. I mean, she would come and hang out, but yeah, it was not a good energy. But again, I was probably balancing karma, right? Because it's all over now. We've come out of this massively long period of time of learning and darkness, and we're coming into the light, baby gods. And then I decided to come and visit England on the 25th of August, 2022. And 25th is 7. I've got my sevens, haven't I? If I can get my leg up here, that's my sevens. And yeah, I came to visit for a few weeks to connect with my mother and sister and to forgive and to hopefully connect with them and help them heal and share. And it just didn't work out because there'd been so much trauma and they weren't ready. They weren't really ready to hear me. My sister had gone through something, loads of horror things. She had 2 of her children taken by social services, the SS, literally, the SS, taking children from people, the horrors. And she was a mess. And I think part of her blamed me for not being around because I was in Malaysia whilst this was happening, going through my own darkness and learning my own lessons, all to do with black magic. And oh, you know, I mean, this rebel faction of one of the royal families, right? There's sultans, there's 13 states in Malaysia, and each has a sultan, and they take turns to become the king every 5 years. But this particular family, the sultan of, I'm not going to say which state, he was murdered by the king who was meant to be after him before he was crowned to be the king. And so they lost everything. And yeah, they sort of found me and brought me into their little group, and we did stuff, and we were trying to counteract the black magic of the ex-prime minister Rosmar, who really was such a living physical manifestation of evil. I mean, yeah, demonic, goblin looking. And again, I'm not judging. I'm just it's fine. It's needed. You can't see the beauty, the light and the grace if you don't have the darkness and the opposite, the malformation, and you have to see, well, if you operate in that way, this is how you're going to manifest in your physical body. That's how your soul, that's you physically look the way your soul is, okay? And but people who are disabled and stuff, right? It's all about the eyes, all right? But most of these people are wearing dark glasses. You can't see into the soul. You can't see into the eyes. And so you then have to just look at the way that they look as a person. And if they look a bit dirty or funny shaped or ugly, then that's just a representation of the soul. And I'm not, it really isn't a judgment. And I know that a lot of people, and I'm not talking about like if you're overweight or it's a very subtle thing, And at the end of the day, we've all been attacked, and the vessel is holding on to toxins and traumas, which are going to then manifest it, make it look a certain way. All right. So again, it's all about the eyes. It's all about the soul, the windows to the soul. But ultimately, God's perfect creation is like a supermodel. Now, all the men. And that's why the Hollywood and, those that we kind of believe are perfect are called the stars. That it's a piss take. They're us. So whilst everybody else was being poisoned and deformed and mind controlled to manifest themselves in that way because they don't love themselves or they don't believe that they are worthy or that they're beautiful, that's what's going to manifest, right? Again, it's the biology of belief. Remember that book, The Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton. It's an amazing starting point, learn as much as you can about the nature of your reality and how our health and our physicality is determined by our beliefs and the things that we think. And then also, be the gatekeeper of your mind, all right? And be careful what thoughts are knocking around in there. And the majority of us have a voice that's just giving a constant monologue. Shut up. I hear myself lately when I go to bed and I'm trying to lie down, I'm trying to relax. And I find it very difficult to relax. I'm such a hyped up person. But lately, I mean, over this past 4 years, I've been learning to do it. And I'm now quite good at it. And you know, but the voice is there. And it's insane, isn't it? It just pops up and it's like, where is that coming from? And it's voice to skull. It's a technology. It's insane. And I just say, shut up. No, shut up. And I'm focused on the back of my eyes as if I'm in a, because it's just dark, isn't it? When you close your eyes. And I imagine I'm just sitting in a room waiting for God. And I did study that play, Waiting for Godot, when I did my A levels. Everything's a sign. But I'm there in my own space and I'm waiting for God. And then a thought pops up or I hear somebody's voice. Oh, you never did that. It's kind of crazy, random things. But I'm just aware that I'm observing it. If you can even observe yourself for 3 seconds, you've cracked it. The rest is just hard work and practice. It's like, yeah, oh my God, I served my tennis ball over the net in your tennis lessons. And you're like, oh my God, I'm going to be a professional. I can do it. But no, you're not, right? It's going to take a bit more time and effort and practice and pain and suffering because there's a resistance. The ego is that part of the dark negative alien agenda which was created to trap us, right? It's the ego is the part that speaks the English language, which is the language of being trapped. And yeah, it's just about being aware of it, right? And then and it's like a naughty child, you've got to see it as just that naughty child part of you. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to develop the grown-up, responsible, fair, graceful, benevolent, expanded perception view of not blaming and judging and just being open and kind. Okay, so this is what the Great Awakening is. The Great Awakening is you awakening to the beauty, the grace, and the glory of who you are as a child of God, right? As a baby God, loved, revered, and protected if you ask for it and if you believe it. So yeah, I moved to England and I was very shocked at the state of the place. I'm not going to go on too long because I feel like it's probably an hour plus now and I'm going to do another part. And I've still got part two and part this of all other things, but it's okay. It's all coming out when it should. I actually, sorry, I want to talk about England quickly and my recent experiences. But I was listening to Harry the Soul Coach, another friend, Harry the Whippersnapper, I call him. He sent me, he was so kind and sent me so much amazing stuff in the past couple of days because I was really struggling. And I was listening to Harry the Soul Coach, who, has also come to a conclusion that a lot of the truthers are here actually operating on the dark side. And it just makes sense. And I'm going to talk about that separately, but without naming names. But I'm going to talk about my experience when I came back to England and what happened in Malaysia with that side of things. But just to talk about coming back to England on a kind of metaphysical level, yeah, it's been dark. And I realized I was here to sort of anchor light and to transmute stuff here because I was born here. And you always have a connection to the place that you're born. So I'm currently staying 20 miles away from where I was born in Blackpool in 1970 in October. And so, I've done full circle and I'm living in this beautiful countryside, got an awesome landlord. And so when I, on a beautiful summer's beautiful summer's day, we've only had a few, although it is nice right now. I'm missing the sun, which I love. Oh my God, I'm obsessed with the sun. Um, I just love that feeling you get. But anyway, so I chose to come here and do a lot of transmuting of stuff, right? And working with other people. And I just, yeah, I saw the darkness. I was walking around trying to wake people up and receiving very much negativity. And I was very shocked. And, I'm in the state of the roads. I'm going around to everyone saying, what are you paying your road tax for? Look at state of roads, Matt. How many times are you going to get shafted? And I used to go around saying to people, this is an impression of an English person. And I'd bend over and be like, come on, I can take another one because I'm like, the government, you're being shafted. What are you doing? But everybody's like, oh no, shut up, shut up. I'm in the Matrix. I'm in the Matrix. And I swear, even if you've seen the Matrix, please go and watch it again. Even if you've seen it 100 times, everything in it. I was sitting there last night going, oh, and I think, did I say something before about what is real? Okay, I'm going to end with this thing about what is real. I think I mentioned it, but I'm going to expand upon it because it's all objective. Um, yeah, and that actually talking about the roadworks and the roads. Oh my God, and there was just roadworks everywhere, and I was getting so wound up. And, I've been going around irritating so many people, but I also, connected with people and I decided to stay because I felt like Malaysia needed my help. Sorry, England needed my help, but Malaysia and England are connected because they're both Commonwealth countries. And like I said before, England used to control, well, still was controlling. It was all an illusion, the Merdeka freedom thing. But I just noticed England was, I mean, if Malaysia's a third world country, England is now was like a fifth world country. It's insane. I mean, it's just a joke. You could see how the Europe, America was being run into the ground and Asia and Australia were being built up. For this time where the negative alien agenda and their cronies and their minions were going to shift over to that part of the world because there was direct access to Antarctica, which is where Lucifer's palace was, and Lucifer had managed to manifest himself in physical form in all of the ugly demonic glory. But that's now not happening. It's not the case. It's all over. It's all over. They're all gone. They don't exist. Remember, nothing's real. It's all in your imagination. And there's been so many of us collectively who are refusing to buy that story and refusing to go, believe that Lucifer could possibly manifest. I mean, look, it already has, hasn't it? That satanic energy has already manifested in any individual that harms a child, which is basically God. It's an attack on God. It's just fear. These beings know that they're coming back, know that the in-breath of God is drawing everything back, and they're just trying to get as far away from that as possible because it's so painful now what they have to go through to kind of rebalance and reconnect. It's not, it's something you can just do. It has to be painful. you know we have to remember, we have to know as we go forward and create. Okay. And we will go into duality realms again. We will. Just hope it ain't going to be quite as bad as this one was. All right. But then again, from this perspective I'm in now, I look back at everything and I accept and I forgive everyone and everything because I know it was necessary and it was just all like a bad dream because there's only the now. There really is. There's only the now because even when I just said that, then it's gone. It's a memory. Where is it? And the future doesn't exist. And it's about the Great Awakening is about teaching us to be present in the now and to know yourself so that you know what you're creating, so that you're kind of in control of your realm and what you're creating. But control's a wrong word again, because it's not about control. It's just about being aligned with your vibration and your frequency and who you are. And it's about ever expanding and growing and learning and growing and expanding, not coming back. And so this process that we've been in on Earth has been a process of the really far gone negative alien agenda or the satanic Luciferian darkness. And look, this is only on Earth, right? This is a theme throughout the cosmos. You know, there's probably billions and billions and billions of Satans or Lucifers manifesting in different ways in different places. But on Earth, and you know, Earth is special. I need to talk about that as well. But again, do I do that now in a minute? Yeah, Earth is very special. And so that's why I think it all is extremely powerful. You know, the feelings, you know, of the darkness and the light are very, very powerful here because Earth is very special and lessons really did have to be learned here. So, what's real on Earth? Yeah. The reason I don't believe that Lucifer is sitting in a palace and he's going to manifest, you know, and take over the planet is because I just choose not to believe it. I've already experienced Satan. My sister was possessed when she was 7 in a hostel that we'd been put in by design. This thing used to come out the sink. But I now realize it was technology that was being used. I realize that this hostel where all the prostitutes and drug addicts and the homeless and the down and outs and the lost people lived. And my sister, my mother, and I, we were cooped up in the attic in one room for 2 years. I was about 7 going on 8. My sister was a bit younger. We had been to Ireland to ask for help from one of my mum's 12 brothers and sisters, and there were originally 13. And we were rejected, abandoned, and they didn't want us there. And we returned to England. My father didn't want us because I was 7. By age 7, you're no use to a satanic ritual abuser because you start to remember and you start to be able to then work on it and heal it because you have words and memories. It has to be done before the age of 5 when the soul is going to still be able, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it has to be done before the age that you can frame what's happening with words or with any experiences of others or external things to compare and contrast and, you know, stuff like that. So that's why they do that. And that's what I've been trying to kind of undo recently. I've been trying to remember the terrible things. I now remember the coffin. I remember being in this coffin, and like I think I just said at the beginning, it explains why I've been very loud all my life. I want to be seen and heard. I've got to be seen and heard. I've got to be seen and heard because psychologically, I went through this experience where I wasn't. And I'm now getting to a point now that I've made that realization. Oh, that's why I've behaved like that, right? But it wasn't until I fully remembered and allowed myself to acknowledge and believe I had been put in a coffin. I wasn't imagining it. This was a ritual abuse thing. It's called trauma-based mind control, and it's how they control you. But again, you know, that's them in fear, right? Trying to hold the light back because they don't want to ascend, because they're afraid of the process of going home to God because it's painful and they're just trying to stop. Or, you know, there are beings who don't want to leave the physical realm because it feels good. You know, they like the super uber physicality of eating food and drinking wine and having sex and the real physicality. But, you know, what you sacrifice for that is your ability to be limitless, you know? And I do believe that on the other side, you wouldn't even know that you weren't. I think we're able to, you know, feel everything physically the way we are. It's just that when we fell, made that initial decision to separate from God. Now, whether it was planned by God and we all went, okay, yeah, let's play this game, or whether we just went against God and we fell, which is what this book talks about, this series of books, the Joseph Communications. And by the way, synchronicity, kept driving past this place when I came back to England near Clitheroe. I was guided to just go to all these places in Lancashire. And I kept driving past this place and I found out it was like a horse place, like they had horses. But I found out there was a place, I think it's called the Heart Sanctuary, no, the Sanctuary. And it's like a healing place, and it's run by the guy who wrote this book, the two guys that channeled and wrote this book. Well, one was the guy who channeled, and one guy and their wives and stuff helped. He was selling the books in the place, and the first time I went in there, I was invited to go to a meditation, and I was like, when I found out where it was, I was like, oh, no way, I've been driving past this place, and there were these 8 books, and I picked it up, and you know, I mean, it just says here, and the souls who are being born back into the illusion of individuality time and again are causing their reincarnations on earth by their own choice and not by any volition of God. It says source can do nothing until such time as, via instruction, the seed loosens its grip on perceived reality and reaches within to perceive absolute reality and not the projection. So I kind of got this book. It's called Revelation. It's absolutely brilliant. I mean, there's just so much. And I was kind of seeing a lot of links with this and Saint Germain and Joseph S. Benner. You know, there's a group of people called the New Thought Movement who were writing stuff. And yeah, help. You keep me on track, please. Yeah, so it's been a journey. I'm so grateful. And the thing is, once you open yourself up and then you go and you lie down or you meditate and you actually request for assistance or you request to connect, you will. Just try not to be afraid if you start to feel anything or, you know, whatever happens. It's just breathe. You know, we're supposed to breathe and be still. And in fact, I'm going to leave. No, I want to talk about the analogy of the car and you as the driver, your soul. The car is your vessel. Yeah, okay. And Earth is very special because it's a library. That's why there's so much attention here. It's kind of like the stock room where everybody comes to get things to build their other planets. You know, it's amazing. That's why it's been attacked and taken over because Earth is extremely special. And remember, Earth is a being as well, just looks a bit different. You know, we are from the Earth. You know, all the animals and the plant, everything's the same, all made of atoms with different aspects of consciousness, pulling the atoms together to create a form. We are light. This is light. The light is bouncing off the collection of atoms that I've pulled together to create this being known as Kerry or Damashimi. And it's the same with everything. And that's why we are all one. That's why there is no difference between a rock and me. It's just a rock is a completely different kind of consciousness and possibly an even higher form of consciousness. Because imagine just being a rock. I mean, an amazing thing to be, right? You're the foundation of everything. But can't really, you know, the problem with humanity is we do tend to project, we project on everything and, you know, we judge and we label and we separate ourselves and we think that we are, you know, but because we've been told, that's what we were told, right? That we were on this rock and we were from apes and monkeys and actually from primordial soup. It's not true. I mean, there is an aspect of creation and evolution, but it's part of the game. And before that, we were already eternal souls, right? And this is Earth game, and it's about to level up for every single atom in this reality is about to get a shake in. And so there are those of us who've been kind of contemplating this, and we're here to guide and support and help. We're not here to lord it over, control, or abuse, or make money, or anything like that. And, you know, again, I'm not being judgmental, but be careful who you follow if you aspire to create your own reality and be sovereign. That's all. I'm not judging those who want to live in realms where you abuse and kill and you know, like Westworld. Have at it. Just make sure that everybody in that realm has signed up for it, okay? And this is the free will thing, is all to do with consent. And that's why they've got us all, learning the language and putting our signature. Darlings, you sign an autograph. It's your auto, it's your own, your graph. It's a, it's a graph. It's a graph. That's my old signature autograph. A signature is what you do when you sign a contract, right? So you don't want to do that because you are not entering contracts. The only contract you have is with yourself and God. And even that isn't, God wouldn't create a contract. God's loving and open, and you have free will to create what you want. God, you are God. God's not going to limit itself. All right. It's just that in what happened when we entered into this earth density, and we got separated from the rest, which is all the galactics and the Syrians and the Arcturians, who are us in the future, because we've got stuck in this kind of time, space, weird matrix reality. Yeah, we we signed these contracts, and it always says read the small print, and God knows all those things that you'd sign up for, and you'd sign on a computer. You're going to buy something from Dixon's or Argos, or what is it in America, like Walmart, and you go and you sign a contract, and it's huge and nobody reads it. And who knows if there isn't a little bit in there. And I do believe that there are some contracts with things where it does say, and I agree to sell my soul to the devil. All right. It's all by consent. Satan can't take you unless by consent. And that's where this comes in. All right. Again, this is just a huge lesson. And maybe it wasn't even that bad. I think it got taken out. I think it got switched. And I think it's a cover. And I've been saying this for a while. And I have another friend again, Harry. We've been talking about this. And then Harry, the soul coach, also said it. Okay. So I believe that actually the injuries are being caused by what's happening with the planet and the changes and the frequency upgrades, right? And if you're weighed down and if your heart is contracted and it's being forced to expand and it can't, you're going to have a heart attack, right? I think there's a lot of naughty people out there who are frightening us into these things being in the blood. And oh yeah, look what we found, all these funeral directors. I think it's bullshit. And they should be ashamed of themselves. But again, who am I to judge, right? Should they be? Have we all been taught a lesson? When we pass through the veil and we continue in this amazing reality that we're going to create soon, and we're about to start, and it's already started. There are people who are already in what people call 5D, which is what? A state of being, not a destination. It's all about frequency, density, dimension, all that. It doesn't matter. Don't get hung up. It's about it's actually 5D is 5 density. Within the densities, I believe, I see it like there are dimensions within certain densities, right? So you can, and we're constantly flipping dimensions all day. You can go from a good mood and then suddenly something happens and you're in a bad mood. You've time traveled. You've gone into a different density. You're connecting to frequencies from the past, right? Or perceived frequencies that you're projecting into the future from the now. It's all about the now. And that's why it's really important to be still and know I am God, which is what Joseph S. Benner is teaching in this book. And I don't even know what I was I think I was trying to work out my name. I was receiving like some kind of words. Merimiasima, and I've written what the fuck here. So I don't know. But the impersonal life, Joseph S. Benner, and it's about, you see, I've even written there, like there's past, now, and future. The past is the memory bank, so that you know what you kind of have a kind of a roadmap. The now is where all the creation takes place, which is why we've been hijacked. And the future is what we're projecting into. And so what we've experienced in the past is often going to affect the now, and then it affects the future. And that's why everybody's on a groundhog day. Everybody gets up at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock, 3 meals a day. They say 3 square meals, right? Because square is the cube. We don't need 3 meals a day. The meals are anchoring us. Notice how many people, everything revolves around food. And when you eat, you're clogging up the whole system that's running along your spine, where your cerebrospinal fluid, which is the highway that brings the chrism up to the pineal from the sexual energy, and that allows us to open our pineal and then deatomize. Remember, atoms are nothing solid. Everything can be blown apart and reassembled in a second. And you know, these are the things that we have to contemplate and try and remember. Okay. I think I've lost myself. I am getting a bit tired, so I'm going to stop. But just the last comment I want to make, for something for you to maybe think about, and maybe write in the comments, please do. I'd love to hear from people. We're in this together. I don't want a huge channel. If it gets beyond a couple of thousand, I'll probably start and like cap it and close it and start a new one, or I'll just work with those people. You know, the reason I'm doing this is I just want to connect with people so that we can start creating. I'm here to help raise the vibration, to remind people through what I've learned who they are, so that they have the courage to become sovereign and to be connected back with God and source. Okay. There is no external objective reality. There's only a projection. So I think what I'm going to do next time is I'm actually going to talk about what is real. I'm going to try and work out and remember some scenes from things. And yeah, the awakening's real. That's what's real. And I've got my Archangel Gabriel crystal with me and my Lemurian crystal. I've got one in each hand and I can feel them. Never used to be able to feel them, but now I feel they make me feel comforted. Okay. I've said a lot. I hope you managed to keep up with it. I mean, I struggle to keep up with myself, right? And I'm in here. I wish you all love and joy and power and confidence. And I wish you all the grace to meet everybody where they're at and to not judge and to love yourself, and especially don't judge yourself. And, you know, the more things you feel that you have to overcome, and the more you feel like you're not a good person, the more you have to love yourself, because you chose to go through more, to come back with a story and to show how it's possible to overcome you know, great darkness. And that's something to be applauded and proud of. It really is. You know, it's nothing to be ashamed of. Those of us who chose to go really into the darkness, you know, it's because we're strong. And yeah, sorry, I was just saying about the yeah, it's not the V, it's the sun, it's the frequency upgrade, it's the incoming light, it's the white sun is causing the issues that we're seeing at the moment, which is being blamed on the injection, either because it's a cover-up. So because how could you tell people all of this? How could you possibly explain to the whole population, right? You know, imagine there was an EBS, everybody's TV sets at the same time, right? Everybody, yeah, we just thought we'd let you know the planet's been under control of some negative alien agenda for the past however long. It's not what you think it is, and here you go, this is it. It just wouldn't work. You know, it's not what it's about. This is all part of the plan. All of it is. Nothing was a mistake. Nothing was an accident. You know, it was all because we needed to learn and grow and expand and push ourselves to the very limit. And whilst it seems absolutely horrific, the children who suffer and stuff, and it is, it's not real. I know it feels real, but it's not. And I am going to talk about that next time. And I'm going to talk about Earth and what Earth is, and maybe a little bit about, you know, the getting ready for mass contact, which again, maybe we just each individually are going to contact until everybody has, you know. It's about you, it's about God. And I absolutely truly believe that Donald Trump and his crew are working for Q. And Q could be, I mean, it's either the Book of Q, what's it called? The Bible of Q, the There is a book called Q. I believe Q is benevolent AI, or it's AI being used by the benevolence, okay? And the Alliance are real, and we're all being watched. So, you know, if you're watching, Captain Damashimi over here, looking forward to you all, and I'm ready. Don't be scared of showing up in your little trucks to take me off the debrief. I'm totally ready. I'm not smoking anymore, and I'm not drinking, and I'm going to start running up and down Beacon Fell, and I'm ready. We're all ready. Many of us are ready, and it's going to be amazing. It truly, truly is. So, thank you. Much love, especially if you're a naughty one. Love you even more. And no fear, okay? And I'll be back. See you soon.